Welcome to Short Scale Modelling. This is part 4 of Airfix's North American B-25C Mitchell. Scale is 1/72. So in part 1 to 3 I've started the build and progressing quite smoothly on to part 4, which will be working on the undercarriage of the aircraft and moving on to the canopies. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. To start off with, I'm putting together the engine cowls and housing for the undercarriage, the landing gear, and it's just two halves sandwiched together, and it's painted in Umbro 226 interior green. Once that's dry, there's another sidewall that has to go, and this is the part that will connect the engine. Now, I find it strange that that's not all one unit, but there you go, that's all that is. But when you put it on, needless to say, make sure it's all lined up properly, because of the end cap. There is a sort of missing part to the next piece that goes on, and it could look a little bit strange. But if you follow the location points, you'll get it the right way around. But dry fit it, because if you don't get it the right way around, it will cause problems. When fitting it to the wing, make sure that the landing gear struts don't bump into it too much. It's quite an awkward shape to fit, as you can see there. You will have to clamp this in position, because it's got a habit of springing up, and just holding it with your hand is really not good enough, unless you want to hold it for about 5 minutes with both hands. So using clamps would be the recommended way here. I've let this dry for quite a while, but I'm adding a little bit of cement on the strut for the areas that is going to contact with the housing, just to give it a bit more support. Sometimes these struts can bend out of position depending on how heavy the model is. So now it's on to putting the actual engine cowls on themselves. And again, with the main housing, it's a bit of a strange fit. They have to fit underneath the vent. And it can be a bit awkward getting them in position, but technically you should just be able to push them on, but you may want to check your fitting. Same with the flaps, they went in rather easily. Once the cowl was in, they were just pushed in. Of course, you can have these open or closed. I've decided to have mine closed. If you have them open, you will use a different part for this. Next is the strut for the wheel. This just fits in nicely. I had a bit of trouble actually getting this to fit level, but I persevered with it. So it's now time to make up the wheels, and I painted the wheels in light colour black rubber, shade tire black, and the central hub is 57 aluminium by Umbro. The wheels are a simple assembly, just the two halves placed together. There is location points on them for you to get in. Then there's a small one or two little bits just to go onto the struts, just the supporting parts of the piston arms and things like that are going on. Now, I should also point out at this stage I have made quite a fundamental error. It's quite laughable error, actually. When I realised what I'd done, I had a bit of a chuckle to myself, but I won't say what the error is just yet, and see if you can work it out for yourself, but you won't believe what I've done. But I'll point out I didn't notice the error until I was putting on the decals of the almost finished plane. And I'm just actually now in the process of sorting it out, and I'm waiting for things to dry, and so I thought I'd edit the video while I'm waiting. So feel free to put something in the comments if you know what error it is. But to me, it's blindingly obvious now that I know about it. So anyway, back to the build. The supporting arms are going in. These ones get connected to the flaps for the hydraulic arm that lifts open the flap. Now, the instructions are not 100% clear where the archy arm goes underneath the inside the house and not underneath. So it was a bit of a guesswork with me there, but after looking at a couple of photos, I'm fairly happy that's where they should be. So I just zoomed in on the second one so you can see where the strut should go. Well, where I'm putting it, anyway, not the strut, the piston arm that opens up the covers for the landing gear. As I said, I'm not 100% sure where it goes, but with the location point on the inside of the cover and the angle, I think I've got it right. I always find these things tricky to put on anyway. This is why I always do the landing gear down, just to try and get more practice at putting these in. So, same with the rear wheel here. I'm just putting in the extra supporting arms. And now that the wheels are dry, I can place these on. Now, these wheels have the flattened bottom, so make sure if you're doing this skit that they are on the facing downwards of the flattened side. I like how they do that now. Before, you used to have to file down the tyre to give it some weight. They don't give it the little bulge you would get if a tyre is flat on the ground with the weight on it, unfortunately. But at least it's flattened out for you now. Moving on to the weapons, and the gun barrel is painted with Humbrol 53 gun metal. Again, I'm painting these on the sprue just for ease of handling. And then I'm using Mr. Hobby H28 metallic metal black for the housing of the gun, so the furniture, the trigger area, and so on. Moving on to canopies now, and I'm painting this with Humbrol's 237 Desert Tan, but I've also added a little bit of Humbrol's 34 matte white just to soften up the tone, because it was a bit too dark. I wanted it lighter, just like the main body of the aircraft, of course. So as you can see, I'm painting this freehand. I don't like masking canopies. I think it takes too much time. But if you do it freehand, and if you do make a mistake, it's quite simple to deal with. All I do is take a cocktail stick and blunt the edge a little bit, and then just rub it over the seams where the paint is, to take any little slippages or burrs in the paint out away from the main line of the canopy. And this gives you a sharp line. It does take a bit of practice, but for me personally, I think it's better than spending ages on masking the canopy off. Of course, if you're airbrushing, you will have to mask the canopy off, but because I'm freehand painting, I don't really have to. So there you can see the end result there. So it's back to the guns, and I'm actually painting the magazines here, and it's painted in the normal black. However, I'm using Humbrol 226 interior green for the brackets that hold the magazines in place. So it's just a tiny little line on each magazine where it's going to go on into the cockpit area. It's now time to make up the first gun, and this is a fairly simple build. I've zoomed in as much as I can so that you can see it. The camera is jumping a little bit, trying to keep in focus. But essentially, you have to place one bracket over the supporting bar of the double gun here before it goes on to the top of the column. It's an awkward process if you want the guns to move. Hence why I've got things crammed in between my fingers, just trying to get everything in position. Initially, I did want these guns to move, but I managed to get a little bit too much cement on the actual joint, and it unfortunately fused in so that they're stuck in one position. But it is doable, you just have to be careful. But you're essentially creating a cradle for the gun mount and the gun itself. And once that's on, the supporting column then just gets clipped in behind it. And that's the first gun made up. And this is where I'll end part 4. This column needs quite a bit of time to dry, so this is a good place to end it, even though all I really need to do now is put on the canopy. Not the canopy, the actual gun turret itself. But anyway, it's quite a good design, this one. So, if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? If you subscribe to the channel, why don't you hit the notification bell? That way you'll be kept up to date with all my builds, including this one, of course. Hit that like button. Don't be afraid to leave a comment. And of course you can share the video. But leave a comment, because I'd be interested to see if you've spotted my little mistake. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.